Hello everybody, it's your boy Determined DE, and welcome back to another episode of Scrap Mechanic. In this episode of Scrap Mechanic, I wanted to do something kind of stupid. It's kind of currently winter, where I'm at right now, and there's snow on the ground, so I thought to myself, what better way to celebrate the cold weather than to build a rocket-powered sled? In order to do this, we're actually going to need a few things. This is not a tutorial, this is just for fun. You're going to need a few things. You're going to need this square mesh block, which has by far the lightest friction, or the least amount of friction that any other block. So we're going to need this for the sled. We're going to need our thrusters, which we already have. We're going to need a seat, which we also already have, a connection tool, and potentially some buttons. And that's pretty much it. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and just place my lip down. And we're actually going to create the body of our frame. You can make this any size, but I do need to make sure this is actually even width. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 should be good enough. We're going to use that as our base. Expand it out. Now, seeing as this is the lightest block, or the least frictionless block, it has a tendency to slide. So if I was to go ahead and drop it down, grab my sledgehammer, and wham it, you notice that it slides away decently. Now, in contrast, let's get out some wood. Let's actually make a platform out of wood. And if we hit this with a hammer, it doesn't slide anywhere near as far. So friction does have an effect on the environment. The environment does, I don't know. So that what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to convert it into a sled, and hopefully, I don't know if you guys can see it, but way off there in the distance is the map border. We're not on our traditional world, we're on a flat map that I've already done some building on. That's what that is over there. But we're not going to worry about that right at the moment. So what we're going to do first, seeing as we have our platform, is we're going to grab a seat. This is where our control is going to be. Now, this is one of those examples where suspension glitching may or may not help. I think that's just going to make our situation worse. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to probably use wood. We're just going to use wood for the actual body. And we're actually going to want to put some thrusters in the back, because this is a rocket-powered sled, so the rockets, or the thrusters, need to be propelling it forward. In this case, actually I misclicked, we're going to do 4 thrusters in the back, like so, and then we're going to get a button that we want to make this even. So the buttons, we're going to place one there, one there, one there, and one there. One of these is an extra, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. So then we're going to want to take our connection tool and connect up these thrusters to one of the 4 buttons. Doesn't matter which one you use, but keep in mind the number you connect into the seat will be relative to your control. So I kind of suggest having number 1 be your forward thrust. So then we're going to go ahead and connect this into forward thrust. And I'm not actually sure how much we want these up yet, so we're going to leave that alone. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take out our wood, and we're going to want to actually, let's see here, we're going to actually want to have our steering mechanism, which is going to be thrusters instead of suspension glitches. And honestly, I don't know if this is going to be potentially less violent than a suspension glitch, which is okay, it's what we want. So then once again, we're going to connect, in this case I'm going to connect this button up to here, and this button up to here. And then if we think about this, we want this button here, and then this button here. And we've already reached our max connection, so we're just going to upgrade this once. I don't know why I use default, I kind of like the plain look of it. So then, this is the general rocket sled complete, although one more thing we are going to do is we're actually going to get some downward thrust. And we're going to see just how ridiculous, because I want to be able to go really fast to showcase how really not so frictionless this is. So for downforce, we're actually going to get a switch instead of a button. We're going to put all this away. We're going to basically just put 2 of them, because we want weight to be evenly distributed between the whole thing. One of these is an extra. You don't have to do this, but it is okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our switches, we're going to connect it up to all of our thrusters, our downward force thrusters, like so. And these ones I think we do want on max, like so. I'm not actually sure how fast this is going to be. It's giving me problems for some reason, and that should do it. So with that all out of the way, the next thing we want to do is actually test the thing out. But first, I'm actually going to adjust these rear ones to be maybe 2 each. I don't think we really need that much rear power. It will be good to actually get us going. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to go to the front, and these ones we want to be relatively powerful, because I think we don't want them off. And if we go into our seat here, we can actually do a test. We have forward, which is, oh, I just realized this is actually backwards. We want it to be the opposite. So we want number this one first, and then this one, and the reasoning for that is so we can actually use this as our control. This feels good, although one thing I do want to do is actually put some more stable outlooms on this. I don't really know, because I don't want this thing is going to go all over the place if I don't, is my only concern. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some underneath, like so. And this is completely optional, again. But I do think it might actually add to some aesthetic, I think. I don't actually know how to pronounce that. Yep, we got it. Alright, so just do this. And there we go, our rocket sled is complete. Now, knowing how little we got for previous friction, or at least previous speed, we're going to bump these up by 1 again. So we actually have a decent power source, and I think we're good. So let me just do a check. We get our turning radius. For some reason I didn't connect up my switch, which is okay. Let's go ahead and go. Okay, downforce on. Let's go. It's not too bad. It actually does. Oh, this actually doesn't handle that bad. This actually handles surprisingly good for being a completely off the top of my head creation. But now, and also the downward thrust also sort of works like brakes. But now comes the extreme part. We're going to turn up the rear thrusters to max, and we're going to see what happens. Don't try this at home. This is very dangerous, kids. I messed that up. Don't worry, it's a video game. So then we're going to go ahead and launch it and see what happens. Oh no. Oh no. How well does our turning work? It does not work at all. Okay, that's a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, very ridiculous. Alright, so that was a very simple tutorial on how to build a rocket sled. Once again, I would not recommend this in any survival world, but then again, if you really want to be a fuel hog and really want to go fast, then this might be the vehicle for you. Although I would recommend you do this on flat surfaces, because if you don't, you could have issues.